All right, so we'll just keep rolling here, and now it's time to just like chip away at this thing. So and we're gonna kind of shoot, go on the fly here. So I might abandon that, the idea of the width, and try to start kind of modeling off of this. So you can see that we have like a piece here. I'm gonna work with. I'm not gonna work with the brick. I'm gonna work with the siding, and so that's that first block. And you can see that this does come out. And so I guess what I need to kind of plot in space is, how far out does this come? And so you can see that, like, if I orbit around again like this, and maybe I'll hide this. I don't know if that's gonna come back in. So I'll use my push pull tool, tap Control to leave a copy of the starting face behind, and we're going to push pull this out by the entrance distance, and I'm going to call the entrance like 5 feet, and then we're going to pull this out. And so now you can see that I'm like, trying to kind of sketch this thing out and just get the massing done, as this comes out. And maybe it's a little bit more than 5 feet, so it kind of went to this corner here. And so then I would orbit around again like this, and then I'll start a push pull, and I'll click here, and then we'll pull it back like that. And then I'm going to pull a little bit more. And I like to use the push pull tool, but keep in mind it's also definitely possible that you could use your line tool here. And this is where it like hits the house, and then you got to be like aware that's your red axis, and I want to come out to here, and then I'm going to go back on the red. So you're just kind of tracing out, and it's a lot like a puzzle. When you start putting this thing together, they're kind of fun. I don't know, in a weird nerdy way, it's kind of fun to build these things, and kind of chip away at them and piece it all together. So we'll make a few bigger moves there and get rid of some of that extra geometry, and let's see where that gets us. All right, so that's kind of a nice general form of what's going on here. And it does get a little bit tricky, this roof line and some of these overhangs. So you got to kind of make a decision, like, what are you looking at? What are you basing these moves and pushes and pulls off of? And so I'm trying to stick with, ignore the roof and the overhang, and kind of stick with the siding. And you can see that like this edge and this edge are very similar, or they're the same. And then when I make a copy of these up, you can copy it straight up by, say, 8 inches like that, and so that should be exactly the same. So now I could use my push pull tool, tap Control, and then just kind of bring that back up like that. So that's like the trim line. And so now you can start to make some of these other decisions, like this guy here. As you can see, this form is starting to take shape, so we're going to work with it, and we'll kind of go up to like roughly right there, and see how that shakes down. And that's going to define the roof pitch, really. So that's your roof pitch like that. And but it's it gets a little confusing because it actually kind of extrudes out. So you got to kind of, like I said before, just pay attention to the siding and try to get this roof line out of your mind while you're working on the form. All right, so we'll pull this back to here. And then I think I'll just pull it back again and tap Control, and that leaves that copy of the starting face behind. And then we're going to need this line. We're going to extend this line. If I hover on this edge, tap the down arrow key, I can just kind of extend this thing out. And then we need to make the same pitch over on the other side. All right. And so let me just make sure, did I actually get that to snap? Yeah, we're good. So that's all set up there. Maybe I would take this line and then rotate it using my rotate tool, rotate it by 180, and then draw my line from corner to corner like that. And so Control E, that's my shortcut for delete all guides. That's under Edit, Delete Guides. So Control E, I just wipe all those out. And so now maybe I'll just kind of keep chipping away. And so we got the main form. And then I would just right click, reverse face, and then use my push pull tool. Pull this thing back. And let me do that again. I'm gonna tap Control like that. And then, with the push pull tool, the nice thing about that push pull tool is it auto selects. So I can hover on that and hit Control R. That's my keyboard shortcut for reverse face. You don't have to reverse faces. It's just a super clean modeling. Keep all the fronts facing out. That's the idea. So we can clean that up a little bit. And let's go back to our match photo and take a look at what we've got. So now, this edge comes up, it meets there. This is, popping out. So, that just gets a little bit confusing. I think what we're going to do is we're going to get the form down, and then we're going to like set up all of the overhangs. And you can see that my overhang here, it's just a touch off, but man, are we close. And it's really all good, like the way that this is riding right along, you can see, we're pretty darn close. And for what we're trying to accomplish here, of just taking a photograph, turning it into a SketchUp model and rendering it, I think this is going to happen pretty quick. This is the way to do it. So, all right, so the front of the house, the form is there, and we can use our push pull tool and maybe push this wall back and snap it here. Let me do that again. I'm going to tap Control, kind of leave that one behind, and then orbit into 3D, and we'll push this back a little bit further, and maybe I just push it back like 5 feet, and I don't know the actual distance, but I do know that it goes back. And like what is happening here is this then kind of comes back. This needs to set back over here, so maybe like coming over on the red by 8 inches, something like that. That's where that actually starts. And oh, I see. And it doesn't. That's not even what I'm seeing. See, it's tricky, and you don't want to get too hung up on perfection in these things. You want to just kind of get the broad strokes and then chip away. So we're gonna say that like, this starts over here like that. That's where this guy's gonna start. And I want to pull the same roof pitch over here. And so like, where does that start? You got to like plot these points in space. So, this is going to kind of come up like, roughly like that. But we'll use, it's the issue here is that it's kind of lower. I think what I would even consider doing is getting the main roof handled. The main roof, I can understand. This roof is a little more challenging because it kind of melts together here. So really, I want to get this main piece done and then come back and mess with this. So let's kind of abandon that idea, and we'll leave this in place. If you like this video, click the BD button to subscribe to our channel. Every week we post new videos covering SketchUp, Layout, Lumion, and our Condoc Tools extension. If you are a professional architect or interior designer, you're going to love our tutorials.